Hi, I'm Pastor Tracey Armstrong, Citadel Church. Just wanted to talk to you today about starting over. Today's program is all about starting over. You'll hear some starting over stories for people. You'll hear a message about starting over. It's a little different format than we normally do, but we just wanted to bring real stories, real people to you and help you understand that God will come into your life. He will, if you will open up your heart, He will come into your life, bring change to you, bring strength to you, encourage you, and take you to the next level of life. This is your opportunity to start over. If you're looking for a chance to start over, have a transformation in your life, today's your day. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Pastor Matt. I'm actually the youth pastor out of Revival Church here in Des Moines, Washington. I just want to give a brief testimony of my life. I actually was born in Southern California. Grew up in a broken home. My dad was a wife abuser, a drug addict. And growing up in a home where you've been abused, we tend to look at different arenas in the world. And my brothers were gang members, and they sold crack out of the house. And I saw a bunch of things in my home, and a lot of drugs being passed, and a lot of gang members being drunk, and a lot of tattoos going on, and it made me realize that this is with a lifestyle that I did not want to live. So as I was in my home, I began to realize that this is not the place I wanted to end up to be, and knew that my heart was broken. I knew that I was searching for a role model. I knew that I was wanting to look somewhere to give me a life of encouragement, to give me a life of happiness and joy. And I really got tired of always having to look behind me or like they say, always watching my back, for the fact that where we grew up at were a lot of gang members, a lot of tough guys. And it's the life that we lived, or the life that I lived. And I knew that if I was to die, or even just having the feeling and the fear of dying, not knowing where I was going. So one day on my way home from high school, I believe I was 16 years old, and I picked up a flyer that was in the middle of an alley, and it was a tract. It was a Bible tract about salvation, and telling, how would you live your life if you were to die? Where would you end up? So it made me realize that there was a heaven and hell. So I took the tract or the flyer home, got in my restroom by a toilet, maybe that someone probably used 2 minutes before, and I kneeled down and gave my life to the Lord. And I didn't feel this superhuman strength. I didn't feel like Superman, but I felt something in my heart that really changed me. It gave me peace, and it made me realize as a young man that I had a future, that I can live a life that I don't have to look anywhere else. I don't have to have sex with different women. I don't have to get high and get drunk. I don't have to go and be some tough guy. And knowing that when I accepted Him, there's something happened in my heart, that my eyes opened up, and I realized that, my eyes opened up to a new world. I had an opportunity to do something great. And I got locked into a church, and throughout high school, I made the decision to serve Jesus. And I got to reach out to my peers across the way from the locker rooms and in study hall, and I had a great time doing it. And because I served the Lord, I was able to avoid from drinking alcohol and getting high and getting drunk. And don't get me wrong out there, young people, I did make mistakes, but you know what? But the power of God kept me strong, and I'm here today. And just want to encourage every young person out there that you can do it, that you can go through your high school, you can go through junior high, and you can do something great.
So we're looking at Acts chapter 7:58. Acts chapter 7:58. I'm just going to read here and just follow along with me. I'm going to start at verse 56. It says, this is a story of a young man by the name of Stephen, who was being pulled out for preaching the gospel, and they were going to pull him out and stone him. And we kind of see a glimpse into this account, so I want you to look at here. Verse 56, and it says, so look, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. And then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears because they didn't want to hear, and ran after him with one accord. Everyone say unity. Unity is a good thing. And unity is a dangerous thing. All right? They became unified. And if we can become unified, how dangerous could we be? If we had one heart, one mind, one accord. It says, and they were one accord in verse 58, it says they cast him out of the city. They picked him up, cast him out of the city, and then they stoned him. Everyone say stoned him. That's pretty gruesome. If we were to go back to that account and put it on the screen, that would be an R-rated movie. That's pretty intense what we get to read here. Now, I want you to see something here. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at the feet of a young man named Saul. I'm going to say young man named Saul. Today the subject is not Stephen. Today the subject is Saul. Today the subject is this young man who was there witnessing, this young man that was giving the order of stoning Stephen. This young man who had been given the order time and time. He'd been given the license to kill. He'd been given the license to kill. He had the freedom to go to anybody that he thought was against what the Jewish laws were and the Jewish tradition and the culture at that time. He was given the license to destroy and to take life. And here he is that day. He's standing there and he has the clothes of the people that are taking off their clothes to stone this young man, Stephen, who was just trying to preach the gospel. And he was there as not only the commander, but a witness. And I thought to myself as I got to that point and I read that, reading this story, and I was meditating and preparing for this weekend, that I started to think, what kind of dreams did a Saul have? What kind of nightmares came hunting after him again? What kind of thought patterns came and tried to capture his attention again? What kind of haunting memories were coming after him? He could be in the midst of a great conversation and then all of a sudden a flash hits his head and all of a sudden he sees he sees people throwing rocks and throwing stones at this young man, Stephen, who at the same time is just simply preaching that God is a good God and wants to save people. What kind of nightmares could come to a person like that? Then I started to think, well, how dynamic and how powerful it was for God to look down upon Stephen, as look down upon Saul and say, Saul, even though you've done all of that, I'm going to make you one of the most vital people in the New Testament. I'm going to make sure that you have the greatest voice in all the New Testament. I'm going to take this anger that you have for the Christians, and I'm going to transform. Everyone say transform. Say it for me, transform. I'm going to transform that and I'm going to make it something powerful. This morning I want to talk to you a little bit about God's transforming power. God's ability to give us a start over.